Drums of war in the Doklam Plateau, close to Bhutan and the Indian and Chinese disputed border. In only the second high-profile meeting in 3 weeks, India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval called on President Xi Jinping of China on Beijing. The last time leaders from the two countries met was at Hamburg in Germany, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping had informal talks on the margins of the G20 summit. The Doval-Xi meeting was at best a courtesy call on the Chinese president by the National Security Advisor of all 5 BRICS countries. On Thursday, Mr. Doval met his Chinese counterpart, State Councillor Yang Jiechi. Yang and Doval are the special representatives for the China-India border talks, and unlike India, which remained tight-lipped about the contour of the Doval-Yang talks, the Chinese side was surprisingly a little more forthcoming. It said Yang met separately with the national security advisors from South Africa, Brazil and India. Mr. Yang also separately exchanged views with the 3 senior representatives on bilateral relations, international and regional issues and multilateral affairs relations, and set also forth China's position on bilateral issues and major problems. The Chinese government. So do these meetings constitute a thaw in India-China ties, which have been hit by Chinese adventurism on the Doklam Plateau in Bhutan? Possibly, although there is no change on the ground on the Doklam Plateau, where the armies of both India and China remain engaged in a standoff, and this has been going on for more than 1 month now. India's Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj has told the Indian Parliament that the standoff could be resolved if both sides withdraw troops. But China wants withdrawal too, but by the Indian soldier, not its own soldiers. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has said that a simple solution would be for India to conscientiously withdraw its troops from the Doklam Plateau. India Foreign Ministry spokesperson Gopal Bagley amplified Swaraj's statement by reiterating that diplomatic channels are available for resolution. Bagley also says that neither side must allow differences to become disputes. This is an essential component of what is known as the Astana Consensus, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping are expected to meet for the 9th BRICS summit to be held at Xiamen in Fujian province of China between the 3rd and the 5th of September. And for more on this story, I am joined from the newsroom by my colleague, the international correspondent Ramesh Ramachandra. Thank you very much, Ramesh, for joining me on this story. So, this standoff has been going on for more or less a month now, and it doesn't seem that China is at all willing to retreat. What is going on? What they really want? Why are they pushing so hard, Ramesh?
Indeed, Daniele, if I can put it this way, both sides continue to agree to disagree. There's nothing new happening on the Doklam Plateau, where both sides are engaged in a standoff as we speak. And as the report suggested, it's been on for more than 1 month now. But the fact is that there's been 2 official high-profile meetings in recent weeks, starting with the Modi-Xi meeting at Hamburg in Germany on the margins of the G20, followed by this morning's call, a courtesy call on President Xi by the Indian National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, which came the day after he met with his Chinese counterpart Yang Jiechi. So clearly diplomatic engagements are taking place, and that would be seen as an improvement given the tensions on the border. And both sides are looking forward to President Xi's meeting with Prime Minister Modi once again in the first week of September on the margins of the 9th BRICS summit. So talks are happening, and as India has consistently put it, that diplomatic channels are available and will continue to be used in the days forward. So that's where things stand at the moment, but neither side, Daniele, is willing to blink just yet.
And Ramesh, do you think that this is perhaps the toughest foreign affair challenge that the Modi government is facing since its election in 2014?
In a sense, yes, Daniele. But that said, the first big world leader, if I can put it that way, to visit, to pay India a visit soon after Prime Minister Modi was sworn in on the 26th of May 2014 was none other than President Xi Jinping. Remember, if you remember, Daniele, President Xi was welcomed by Prime Minister Modi in Ahmedabad, in Gujarat, from where he belongs. We saw those pictures of the so-called bonhomie between Prime Minister Modi and President Xi, with both leaders sitting together on the banks of the Sabarmati River and exchanging pleasantries. But that meeting or that talks happened again as the border standoff at Chumar, another location on the undemarcated India-China border. So the border standoffs or so-called disputes are a recurrent theme in the India-China relationship. But that said, to put things into context, Daniele, this is not the first time India and China are confronting each other. We've seen India and China disagree on a number of issues. For instance, the issue of the proscription or the UN ban on a Pakistani terrorist by the name of Masood Azhar. We saw that manifest itself in China's objection to India's membership of the nuclear supplies group. Remember, China is the only country that is standing in the way of India's full membership of the nuclear supplies group, or the NSG. We saw that manifest itself in the Belt and Road Initiative, which India decided to boycott along with only a handful of countries. And that also caused a lot of friction. Another big issue or bone of contention was the China-Pakistan economic corridor, which passes through Jammu and Kashmir, which India sees as its own territory. So clearly, a lot of differences and divergences that one can point out in the India-China relationship. But that said, we've seen such incidents happen in the past as well. So in this instance, many Indian experts feel that this might take time, but it is not something which both sides cannot resolve going forward.
And Ramesh, talking about the India foreign policy when it comes to China, recently the new president of Mongolia has been invited to come to India, and also in the last 2 years, India has increased their relations with Vietnam and opening line of credits, and also with Japan. These are all to some extent rivals to China. So is India sort of, through their Look East policy, trying to encircle China without directly attacking it?
Clearly, Daniele, the India-China story is one of cooperation and confrontation, of convergences and divergences. Now, on the one hand, India and China enjoy a good economic partnership or relationship, and India and the balance of trade clearly lies in favor of China, and that is one issue which India wants to address going forward. But that said, geopolitically speaking, Daniele, there is more confrontation than convergence or cooperation. Clearly, China has been seeking to contain India or box India into the South Asian realm, as it were, and also seeking to encircle India in the so-called or the much acclaimed string of pearls theory, whereby it has bases or military facilities around India or the Indian Ocean area, especially on land and at sea. Most notably at Gwadar in Pakistan, which is a deep water port.